At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Welcome to everybody, all our many listeners and all our followers in cyberspace and everybody else that is listening. By way of Cool FM today, we are going live. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, promote, elevate all things Liberia. And this is Focus on Liberia Marketplace, where we discuss business, finance, economics, and all things Liberia. My name is Alex Coffey, and I have Telvina Cole, who we are welcoming today. She's been in the background with us, and she decided to show face today. Welcome, Telvina. You're muted.
Thank you, Alex. Glad to be on.
Okay, it's good to have you. Today we'll be discussing tourism in Liberia. Tourism is a broad topic, but we are looking at the economics of tourism, whether tourism can contribute to Liberia's economic growth, or whether tourism can contribute to Liberia's growing budget, and what has happened so far, what is expected to happen, and what is the way forward. But before that, we will discuss tourism broadly. And we have no better person but Mr. Christopher Hayes Onanunga. Welcome, Chris, as I will call you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we can have a fruitful discussion that can lead to something positive.
Yes, sir. That's what we want for Liberia. Can you, before we jump into the show, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe you use some 2 minutes to... Who is Christopher Hayes Onanunga?
Christopher Hayes Onanunga is a regular Liberian guy who works at street hustles daily to make it happen. And a professional, on the other hand, who's a specialist in a lot of things based on academic, passion, and interest. Has been an entrepreneur for quite a long time. More concentrated on the girl child development, as well as youth capacity building and mentorship. I am the owner of Citycom Liberia, Citycom America, Ghana, Nigeria. I'm presently setting up in Sierra Leone. I'm a global consultant on tourism and a campaign strategist. With all of what I do, I'm the chairman of the National Excellence Awards Committee of Liberia and the head of the National Center for Excellence and Creativity. I'm a workaholic. I'm a perfectionist. So far, so good. 2 kids, lively and available here. Every time I talk about the kids, I have to smile because it brings me joy, But that's who I am. Anything else, we'll find out during the show.
Wow, that's a. Tell me what you got to say.
Muffled, but I have additional questions, follow-up questions on his credential as far as the tourism. He says he's a global consultant on tourism, so I want to find out more. So what are some of your key functions? What do you do as a global consultant, and what's some of the companies you've consulted with or are consulting with in terms of tourism?
All right. So basically, I help institutions build a capacity to perform, help national governments understand what their roadmap is based on their demography and their geographical location, as well as try to let them understand, bring together a package that allows them to realize that whatever they have is worth millions. And some of them are states in countries, but some of them are countries. And most importantly, some of them are companies who are startup into tourism business. But even though you have the money, but you may not have the expertise, sometimes you have too much money and you think that it's not enough. Sometimes you have too little money, which is actually enough, and you think it's not enough. Taking, for instance, Liberia, where the government has a clear understanding that if you don't have good roads, you don't have electricity, etc., you don't have tourism work, which is not true. Tourism thrives on bad roads. Tourism thrives in darkness better. Tourism thrives with the thickness of the forest. Tourism is a survivor in raw situations. So yeah, countries that I've done a lot of work for, I work with, consult with people in Sierra Leone, consult in Nigeria, consult in Ghana for major events, host major events in Nigeria like the Ovation Christmas Carol, which is a 6,000 indoor sitting capacity event yearly. A lot of things are doing in Liberia behind the scene for people who are doing events and the rest. It's some of the stuffs are classified, some are not, some are open secret, some are based on confidentiality. But basically, work has been going on for about 28 to 32 years of my life.
Thank you.
And you talk about Sierra Leone, and we have Mohammed Sandy Senior watching from Sierra Leone. So he brings his greetings to you. So yeah, Telvi, you want to continue with your credential audit?
I think so. I think so.
The guy is
You know,
he
the other
walks
just want to
he
come
walks the
out.
street. He's a professional. He's an entrepreneur. He owns City Com,
Yeah.
which is a radio conglomerate or a communication conglomerate in Liberia. He handles issues of girls, and then he's a tourism guru plus other things. So I'm sure we'll be learning today. So
Yeah.
yeah, Talvi, you wanted to say something?
I don't want the questions to stop. I want the questions to keep
Oh,
coming
you
back and
wanted to
forth.
come up here? No,
So
it'll
let's
come. It'll come. You know, we have to build the interview, so it'll come. I like what I'm hearing. You know, you're well rounded. You know, and so I like what I'm hearing. We'll dig deeper into the tourism because we know it's very broad. So you know, the area of focus of tourism. I like to hear. You know, what's the focus that you've been spending your time with? You know, because it's very broad, even in America. So I like to know some of your focus. If they focus in one area, multiple areas, then I just like to know. That's all.
All
So
right. So
Chris,
basic,
having said that,
yeah.
what is tourism? What is tourism? The word TOURISM. What is tourism?
The simplest definition of tourism will be appreciation of nature in its vast and natural form, cumulatively with the use of human activities, which is the demography in person. Demography is tourism, and tourism is demography. Um, the naturality of life is tourism. The beauty of life is tourism, what we look at every day, instead of going for the academic dictionary definition. That's why you see tourism has about 800 plus divisions. And the funniest thing about it is that each division huge revenue generating capacity function for any group of people, society, or a nation. What makes it unique is that you have tourism, medical tourism. Take, for instance, you have medical tourism, you have industrial tourism, you have eco tourism, you got aqua tourism. You can go on and name the various components of tourism. And when you look at all these sectors of tourism, you find out that there's one unique situation with tourism is that it is the only sector of employment in the world where 90% of the employees are independently employed.
When you say independently
No
employed,
matter
what do you mean by that? Are they not working for an institution? Are they not working for a hotel? Are they not working for a restaurant? Or they're not working for a resort?
now, you have a lawyer, right?
Mhm.
Every lawyer that passes the bar exam is a company on its own. Are you aware? Once a lawyer
Yeah,
graduates from school,
mhm.
he's a company, he's a living, working company.
Yeah, no,
Same
there are
with the
three different
doctor.
professionals who are there's the doctor, there's the accountant, there's the lawyer who are working company by themselves. Yeah.
We're on track. Now, take for instance, a guy says he needs $10,000 to start jewelry business, bangles and the rest, but
Mhm.
he has no idea that he only needs $1,000. How? Have you ever walked through the forest of Lofa or River G and just go through the forest roads with the people going to farm? Look on the floor. You will see several tiny small components of hard substances. They are beads that fell from trees. Those beads, someone just needs to go into that village, give 15,000 naira to a group of women as a association and say, pick up all the beads when you go in. And they will give you more than 10, 15, 20 rice bag of beads. Different kinds. Just pick everything. Bring them to your small room where you have the people with the small machines. Each drilling machine is about $60, $40, $20 in China. You
Mhm.
drill the beads and you polish them and then you wax them. Then you put a fishing hook, that fishing hook rope. That's what they pass through the beads. And then they do the dry tying, which is the heating of the rope and then the tie. Those beads become unique hand bands, feet bands, and the rest ankle bands, and they are sold at our airports for 20, 25, $30. But from the village to the airport, it did not cost $250 LD.
And you also have Riverset Pro telling you hello from Riverset when you're talking about collection of bees.
Thank you. Now, let's take again that in Liberia, we want to look at two definite areas. They look at what you call sites. They will make noise on Providence Island, Batawi. Then the next thing they talk about is hospitality. They go to the hotels and collect fees. They go to the restaurants, collect fees. But can you imagine that those two sectors are the least of the listing of revenue generating for tourism?
You mean hotels and restaurant?
They are the least to collect revenue. Take for
So
instance,
Chris, when it comes to Liberia, all right, now that we're trying to define tourism and we're looking at now you're delving into the different types of tourism, aqua tourism, this other tourism. When we look at Liberia, what are five or so germane types of tourism that exist in Liberia specifically that can be exploited? Exploited me in a positive way for economic benefits. Now.
your line is cracking, but let's play it your way so you see that. Now, if you look at the areas of tourism in Liberia, first and foremost, we have the longest coastal line with extremely unique tidal waves, which means uniquely we are very good for water sports. Water sports includes skiing, it cool, includes a fish competition, it includes deep dive treasury competition. It includes open waters fish weight competitions. Who can get the largest fish, the longest fish, the this that, the this that. The beautiful thing about aqua tourism is that whatever you start to do spins into a serious international festival. Now, look at the kind of tourism we have. We have adventurous travels. We have atomic tourism, bicycle touring. We have cultural tourism, ecotourism. You can imagine we have geotourism, industrial tourism, medical tourism, railroad attraction tourism. That's structures. You have recreational, even recreational drug tourism. Can you imagine? You have religious tourism. You have rural tourism. The list is on and on and on. So we've taken aqua. Let's do rural tourism, which you do not need good roads for. All you need is that when people pass through a particular rural settlement, they can get a fresh palm wine. They can get a roasted corn. Somebody just needs to have a 3, 4, 5 bedroom by the road, what you call a rest center, where the guys can walk in, rest, or they can build their tent in the environment. Where that's all they want. They don't want nothing else when it comes to rural tourism. When we direct people to Liberia, the guys who went on Nimba last year, there were 54 of them. They stayed on the Nimba mountain. They wanted to do 2 weeks. They spent 6 solid weeks. And they survived on just what they found in the wild. Who is documenting them? That's the next issue. Do you know that even there is sex tourism? Sex tourism is available. So there is absolutely nothing that is not a tourism beneficial item. If you notice, people are now making noise by doing cassava leaf cooking in Germany. White guys on Facebook cooking cassava leaf in Germany and getting attractions, building social media influencing. As I speak to you, all you need is just the passion, the direction, and the ability to have someone structure your kind of tourism and package. All the noise on we need this amount of money, we need that and that. No, the only function of government in this process is laying a regulatory agenda, defining the information center agenda.
So before we come to the government, right? We'll come there. We'll come specifically to
No, I'm trying to deal with your 5 because then you also have agro tourism. Agro tourism.
So far I've heard you talk about aqua tourism.
Aqua?
When it comes to Liberia specifically.
I mentioned aqua, I mentioned rural, now I'm talking about agro.
Okay.
We grow a lot of crops. Some of them are found in the wild naturally. If you remember, there was something by now government should have taken important, somebody should have taken important, something that has made name around the world for us in terms of vegetable. But trust me, the moment the war was over, it got missing, Bubble John. But guess what? The Bubble John that we've forgotten about is now a major delicacy in Nigeria and other countries by those citizens who were here and took it away. People want to go to farms to enjoy the environment, like the Ure farm, the Woki farm, the Captain farms. There are so many farms that needs to own a guest house on it, provide opportunity for people to swim, to go through and give them period where they can do seasonal hunting with license, like it's done in the Sahel, like it's done in Kenya. So many places you must have a season. There's also archaeological tourism, which Liberia is in abundance of.
Archaeologist.
Yes.
What is that?
So let me jump in a couple of questions because I hear a lot. So which calls for some follow-up. Where may work for one place may not work for the other. So all these tourism that you're listing here, are you saying that Liberia is an enabling environment for that?
Perfect. Super. But what is it? Culinary tourism. Are we not perfect for it? Don't we have more than 1,000 different meals? Camping tourism. Don't we have several locations around the country where people can camp and have fun?
Yeah,
Don't you?
But government have to create the enabling environment. There must be laws,
That's why I
there
spoke
must
to
be
you about the
you know,
regulation, the
processes for
security.
being placed, all of those things.
So he was tell me he was coming there, but
So
I
he's
mean we haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten to that part of the discussion yet.
So another one I heard about was sex tourism, which blew my mind. So for our listening audience, I want you to tell us more about it. It goes back to my point too. What is good for one place may not be for one place. So is sex tourism also legal in Liberia? Because where I live is illegal.
You just use the word, is it legal? But let me make something clear to you today. On this open forum, without beautiful women and handsome men and ganja, tourism doesn't exist.
Ganja.
What do you call ganja?
Yes. Marijuana, opium.
Oh, opium.
Listen,
Without beautiful, and I quote, without beautiful women, handsome men, and ganja, tourism does not exist.
I beg your tip for what you need a ganja for?
For you to get high.
I'm just joking. Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, if you don't have beautiful women, you don't have handsome men, you don't have ganja, you don't have good local liquor, forget it. Do you know that the foreigners who come to Liberia and are going to Europe and America and the rest, they'll put 3-4 bottles of Liberian beer because they know it's fresh?
Oh, really?
Club beer and the rest? Do you know that when the people come to Liberia, they do not drink their Heineken and the rest, they drink our brewed beer because you know it's straight from the factory to their mouths? Are you aware that every time I go to Munich, and when I go to Munich for the beer festival in October, Oktoberfest, yes, look, by September, we don't get rooms. We sleep on the beaches, we sleep in the tents, we sleep by the roads. So by the time it's June, May, June, just start booking.
All the hotels are booked.
For Christ's sake. For Christ's sake. Do you know what we have? We have the largest, longest waterway. And let me tell you the secret of Liberia's waterway, so you should know our coastal land. There are certain qualities that Liberians have no idea about. It is the depth of all the other waters from the other waters of other boundaries of other countries. Liberia is the depth. So everything that they find in other countries in our depth because it flows directly to this depth. So imagine what is the kind of treasure under there. That's one. Two. Because it's the longest. Our resources are endless. The fish. You tell me the kind of lobster you get from our waters. You need to do agriculture in other countries to see that quantity. The kind of shrimp and crayfish and sardines. The European Union has taken total of 194 nautical miles of our waters and leased it from the government of Liberia. Do you know what's happening on the waters? We can't even police our waters. The Chinese rocking vessels are there. They get sunk and they go underwater and destroy our ocean systems. Look, everything I'm saying to you is what is available in Liberia in abundance, what can be harnessed in abundance, and what can be used for the benefit of every Liberian. Because once you are into tourism, two things. You will be independently employed, even without spending a dime. More so, if you even get to be employed by someone as an artisan, it takes you a short while to learn that trade, and you can become independent in another area where you can practice it. Because I know what tourism is, I brought my car to Liberia. Car specifically meant to move the mountains and extras, etc., etc., etc. And I'm having fun. I drive to Sierra Leone today. I catch one. I'll drive to Ghana. Drive to Cote d'Ivoire. Because when you're driving, you're learning the terrains. I was just at Ala Lagoon. A guy came from Europe. He's driving through Africa to South Africa. He stayed with me at the hotel just at Ala Lagoon there. I think he's left with his Land Cruiser. That's what's happening through Africa. That's what's happening through Liberia. And the people hear about one kind of tourism that we have is our comfortability tourism. Hospitality with a difference. Even when a Liberian man is angry, he's smiling at you. When he's talking, he's smiling at you. You can't even understand his language. You want to study it. Language tourism. Listen, every word that you mentioned has tourism behind it. Just note. So imagine how wide tourism is when it comes to making money. And you don't need the kind of government structural understanding that the people in government have. Because the reason why is so most time, the people in that sector are square pegs in round holes. Because if they just catch it a bit, boom. It's just education, 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 sensitization, sensitization, sensitization. And the country is on the boom direction.
So I understand you to name for Liberia. I understand you to name aquatourism. You name rural tourism, which has to do with our rural parts and all the different stuff we have there to offer.
I didn't name heritage. I didn't name Holocaust.
For Liberia specifically.
Yes. Yes.
Holocaust?
Yes.
How?
What is Holocaust?
Genocide.
Say?
Don't we have sites after a war?
Oh.
The looting situation
okay.
is a
that's
gentle
what
one.
you meant. That's what you meant.
Okay.
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 So that means Liberia has a variety of tourism situation that Liberia can exploit. So I know you've been talking about some of the good things about tourism. What are some of the disadvantages of tourism? What is the negative impact of tourism?
Beautiful. There is nothing good without a bad side.
Without a basa?
Bad side.
Bad side, okay.
Mhm.
Like, this woman is so beautiful.
But
And she gets married to this handsome guy. She is so fruitful. She gives him 4 children. And she's just 35. And he's 40. He sees her tummy wrinkled. He doesn't see it as the blessing and trademark of a successful womanhood. He sees her as too reggae now. Then he goes forward to find something more fresher. Then the consequences of that submissivity that he got from his wife, who's been submissive, getting 4 children, grown up nicely looking. They're looking so nice. He puts them in a cartoon in the school, take pictures. That's what he wants now. But he doesn't want her again because she has a trademark of blessings when he looks at her tummy, when he looks at her, supply lines for milk, and he feels, she's not it. So you see, even in childbirth, there's the downside.
mm-hmm.
Instead of being grateful, we're ungrateful.
Well,
Now
tell
let's
us
look
some
at
of
children.
it. So tell us some of the disadvantages.
I'm on it with
He's
you.
coming.
I'm on it with you.
Okay.
You got a lot of other cultures coming into your culture. Your children will have to associate with several other children from other countries who come for 2-3 weeks with their parents. And no matter how you like it, when they leave, they will leave something behind. One trait that your child may imbibe. Maybe your child used to greeting you good morning all the time, and they will no longer say good morning. Say good morning. Oh, mom, but Victor's parents don't disturb me for good morning. Foundation. Now, this guy comes in with his girl. He stands on Broad Street. They're having nice time, hugging, kissing. Where this one's coming from? But when they leave, the eyes of the average youth will open. Oh, we can do this too now.
I see.
Now, imagine. As they come in, they bring in the monies, but they leave a lot of garbage behind that educates us and sensitizes us wrongly if the regulatory processes to keep the populace focus is missing. Another downside is that if our utilities are not properly designed to cater to expansivity, it will break down. For instance, do we have public latrines? If it were meant for 10 persons, do we have extra to go for 30 persons? I'm giving you the basic,
So
because what Liberia needs to understand is the basic. if we come here and these guys are drinking profusely on the street, does that mean we should do the same thing? We have to understand what our religious values are. If not, they could get adulterated. We should understand what our moral values are in child or children upbringing. They could get adulterated. These are the dangers.
We could also have some ECOMOG babies left back too, though.
Those are normal. I just told you, I'm not even going to those areas now because those are the human factor, the demographical factor. When demographic A and demographic B meets, there's all that conjugation, and you know what happens.
All right.
It leads to what you call population explosion if it's not managed. So yes, there are a lot of downsides, but you can prepare for them because the activities of tourism makes you focus on where you're going in terms of long and medium-term development. You're making money from it. How much are you investing back into it? How do you invest? You think China decided to go and develop the Everglade sector estates, building hundreds or thousands of homes without being occupied, even though they are facing financial issues in terms of real estate now, but it's for a purpose. Ghana prepared for it, but didn't prepare too well. So now that the population of Ghana is exploding with tourism, more people have traveled out, they've gotten new ideas, tourism guys are coming in. If you notice, the sewage system in Ghana is terrible. Osu, everywhere they sent, is stinky. Right now, Ghana cannot even supply electricity to her people, but she prefers to sell electricity to Togo and Benin because of the forex. Those are the issues that come with tourism. You have to prepare to make from it and invest into it. But the most important thing is that it educates you faster. It educates your population faster. And I'm going to give you something right now. Take this 2 minutes from me.
Go ahead.
There was a class with 9 kids, I think about 13 kids between the ages of 6 and 10. And the teacher asked the class, what is it you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a this. And one little girl said, teacher, I want to be a mobile phone.
Oh, shit. Want to be a mobile phone to receive text and send text?
You see? She's about to tell you the downside of owning a mobile phone or mobile phones by parents in the home. She says, teacher, if I'm a mobile phone, I will get the same load mobile phones get from my mother and father.
Oh, right. Oh.
When the mobile phone rings, my parents hold it tight and they answer. When I'm going to school in the morning and I say, Mommy, I'm going, can I have a hug? I'm busy on the phone. Hey, I will take you.
Yeah.
Somebody is laughing. Tell me, say the story.
It's funny.
When the child comes, Mommy, my assignment, can you help me? Call your sister. Can you see I'm busy? What's she busy doing?
On the phone.
On the mobile phone. The phone rings and the girl says, Mommy, your phone ringing. What's wrong? You bring my phone to me. If the phone goes off before it gets to the mom, look at this lazy. And she has a look. Don't let that phone that ringing goes off and then fall down. That little child beating will not be on earth. She says the one that hurts her is that mother and father sleeping on the bed. Father got the phone on his side. Mother got the phone under her pillow. Child wants to lay in the middle of the bed. She is not giving that kind of love. Go to your room. But the mobile phone lays in the bed with them every night. That's when the teacher who felt the child was not being responsible or being foolish looked at the child and was crying because the teacher was guilty of the same crime. That is the downside of owning a mobile phone. Now, the two of you, are you guilty or not?
I'm not
guilty as charged.
I'm not guilty. I put my phone away before I sleep. And when I'm working, I put it far from me because it can be distracting. So I'm not.
Guilty as charged. So, Chris, you were giving some example about Ghana when you're talking about the negative impact of tourism. Now, can you give us some examples of countries, especially our neighboring countries, who have countries that have used tourism, that have accelerated in tourism, that have used tourism to the economic benefit. Can you talk about some countries in our west, specifically in the West African sub-region?
Gambia,
Go ahead.
Nigeria, Senegal.
Gambia,
Before the
Nigeria.
crisis, the crisis, Mali, La Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin. Let me tell you what makes it even unique. Religious tourism. The people of Benin, their national religion is Voodooism. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know that they have more than one international voodoo festival every year?
Yeah.
Do you know that it's attended by over 50 to 70 countries, citizens?
Citizens from different countries. 70 countries.
Let's go to Swaziland, away from West Africa before we come back. Celebration of the Virgins.
Of the virgins?
Yes. 1,000 virgins are brought out every year. The only thing they wear is something small that covers their below, but their breast and everything is flaunting.
And they have that many. They have that many virgins.
Praise the Lord for you.
That different deal.
Now, I want you to just catch this.
Go ahead.
Let's come back to West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
How do our girls go in the poro and come out of the poro? Why do we see everything as negative when the West speaks? We turn our languages into dialects so that we can give the West the chance to transfer the language, the dialects to us and expand it to be larger in population usage than us, who had the largest number of people speaking our languages. So in actual sense, our languages are dialects because it discouraged us from speaking them. So we lost the number of people who will speak. Their dialects became languages because they imparted it into us. But there's the beautiful thing about it. Africans are not sleeping again. So, take for instance, Tree, Ewe, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Wolof, Swahili, and the rest. There are now global languages being learned in universities because the people in their countries took hold of it and said it is our property. So they started to teach. It's compulsory to learn one particular language in certain countries in the world, in Africa. So if you have to come there and live there, you got to learn to speak those languages. So imagine, where are we? Do you think the Creole tribes, I mean, of the Pele, the Bassos, they are no? Go to Cote d'Ivoire. Are there no Basolians? Go into Guinea. Are there no Peles and the rest? Going to Salon and the rest. Why are we fooling ourselves? The Mendes and the rest, can they run away from who we are? So you see, language tourism. Everybody have something to offer.
So Chris, I need you to let's talk about Gambia a little bit, because there is a comment on that we have here that when you talk about the negative impact of tourism, somebody has posted. I will bring that question on. So, when you mentioned Gambia as the first country, how has Gambia utilized tourism to benefit that country, to help their economy, to help their budget? Can you explain a little bit? Then we would come to the negative impact.
Gambia has nothing to offer. I'm sure you're aware. Gambia actually has nothing to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So they focus on agriculture and they focus on hospitality. Very small coastal line. But remember we mentioned several kinds of tourism, right?
Yes, different type of tourism,
Mm.
including
So-
sex tourism.
I just want you to know
Yeah.
that Gambians with little peanuts and the rest use agriculture to turn around the economy. They publicize their various small institutions, Gambia has what you call Broad Street, where all the hotels and the rest people sit at night and the rest. So they attract a lot of tourists.
In Banjul or in Senegambia?
Gambia.
Yeah,
Banjul.
they have a city called Senegambia.
Yeah, guys, Senegal, yes. There's Senegambia.
Yeah, their capital
And there's
is
Banjul.
Mm-hmm.
So what they have done is so polarize their activities that this small country decided to do other things because they knew that tourism could erode their ability to employment. So the Gambians did something unique. They pushed education a lot, but they pushed something else. If you go and apply for a job at any company or any institution, there is a law that unless a Gambian is not qualified before they can go outside, it is perfect situation. Notwithstanding, there will be several counters because why the Gambia started to benefit too quickly from tourism, they did not put the right mechanisms in that will deal with the outflow, outburst of the huge crowd of tourists in, as well as
He froze there.
Yeah, he froze there.
Internet.
He's going through the internet issue right there. But yes, but before he comes back on, I have been to Gambia twice, so
Yes.
I know it's like between October to March, the place they call Senegambia is crowded with human beings.
no space.
I didn't see anything there that they're offering, but it's something I don't know. I mean, Chris can explain, but I don't see what they were offering. Even the hotels availability and people using their homes and stuff for guest house and stuff like that around that period. People give out their homes. It's just a little strip of road from the main road. It just curved like this. That's how I see the human being between October to March. Go ahead.
You know why it's so?
No.
Perception. The greatest product in the world is not that it's the best, but it sold itself so strongly that in the minds of the users, it is the best. Perception. Do you know which product is that?
No.
Coca-Cola.
Okay.
If you drink a bottle of Coke, you're going to be thirst-free. But in actual sense, when you drink a bottle of Coke, you're going to be thirsty again.
Okay. So what I'm reading a comment here from I don't see it there, but I'm reading a comment from Nesta Sunday. He says Gambia has a huge publicity. He watched.
Are you there? It keeps blanking off. I hope it's not me.
Yeah. Hello. Are you getting me now? You're getting me?
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Connection. We can hear you.
Is it my network?
Probably.
Yeah, it went off.
Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now, but it went off some minutes ago.
Okay.
So what Gambia has done is sell itself through PR, sell itself through serious external advertising. So people who go to Gambia, they have now become attracted to the crowd. The crowd is a product now in Gambia. When you get there in that crowd, so you feel that you're amongst people, that's a product. 2, they survive on the street food. That's another product of tourism. So Gambia sold itself as having everything, but actually the people who came to Gambia are bringing everything, plus the hard currency.
So I want to take it back externally and bring it back home. What I'm hearing all these good things about the other countries. What can we do to bring those best practices back to Liberia and make it a better place?
So we're gonna pivot on Liberia right after what we're doing here. We'll come specifically to Liberia at the 45-minute mark where we've gone to that. So I wanted to bring in the negative. Now that you talk about you address Nestor Sunday's question, let's address Chris, Vince, X-Men, Lawrence. Let's address Lawrence. Gambia is going through that dark side right now. Young people don't love each other. They rather the older ones.
Hello. Who are the people who really started tourism? Is the older retired people who felt they were tired working in their country, so they want to go somewhere else to have fun.
Most especially from Europe.
And when they get there, they go single. Like we talk about sex stories, and don't forget. And these young girls who have been dealing with their friends realize this boy, yeah, he just used me the whole day. When I talk, he abused me. He even told me to go bring my man food. But there's an old man who is worshiping me, catering to my needs, and doesn't need much from me but my time. And the kind of conversation who is so mature, he's always praising me, telling me how beautiful I am. Isn't that what women want, even when they are the ugliest things on earth? Women want your words. They don't want it just in your head. They want you to speak it. Baby, you are beautiful. Baby, oh, when I'm away from you, my head goes crazy. I think about you. Whenever I don't see you around, I worry because I don't know what's going on with you, and I want to make sure you are safe. Listen, there are 4 things women want before love. All of them got one title. They want economic security. They want power security. They want protective security. And they want attention security. When they get those 4, they say, I think I let him. Now,
Funny.
it touched your soul.
Funny, Chris.
So that is what the older men offer. And that's why the younger boys need to up their games. It's not only Gambia. In every country of the world, both the West and the African continent, the women are appreciating more of the older than the younger. And I thank God that I'm now old because I will have suffered in that consequence with those children.
So having said that, Larry is bringing you to check here. He said, I shouldn't let you get away with that. What the hell is sex tourism? Is it prostitution?
Not exactly. Not exactly. But you can't take it away too, Larry. It is known that Ethiopians have some of the most beautiful women on earth. It is known that Sudan has some of the most beautiful women on earth. But it's also known that Liberia have some of the most gorgeously beautiful women on earth. And don't forget, one of the most popular kind of marriage now is a white Caucasian marrying a black African or a black from anywhere. It is the same thing right now. Not only that, cross marriage between international citizens is becoming extremely popular.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also sex tourism, my brother, where I find more convenient in the opposite sex from another place than the ones in my town. And sex tourism is older than any other thing you can imagine, because that's why A.K. Martinez will go and settle in Nimba. He will come back to Kima with a wife. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
You're funny. I say no hallelujah on that one. No,
Well,
I think no. Again, the sex tourism. I kind of differ in a way, but again, elaborate. Doesn't support it legally, so why we?
Listen to what I just said to you. I said it is not exactly when people talk about sex tourism and mean prostitution. I said, and I've said it clearly. And I just said to you, people have perception in the head about certain countries that the women are very submissive. They will go there to get wives. Some will go there because they say the women in a particular country are very beautiful. They will go there to get wives. Some people in their head say, look, I'm black. I want to wear a woman so I can have a very different child. Those are all sex tourism, whether you like it or not. It's opposite sex. The word that defines it is sex.
so go ahead.
We need to catch it. When people mention certain words, we all go negative. No. Going to say alcohol, because I don't drink alcohol, doesn't smoke, doesn't mean I shouldn't buy it from other people are responsible. We need to understand that we're in a sector in the life that has been there in existence from time immemorial. from time immemorial. Jacob did not marry his wife from his hometown, and so has it been. David plucked it from everywhere till he killed Uriah. The king of Egypt and other places, they thought they could just go and take Abraham's wife. Those are what it is. Our eyes were made by God to actually admire the beauty of nature and make decisions. And that's tourism.
Okay, so let's now flip to Liberia, right? And this is where I'm sure Telvina is more interested, and she wants to come in. But before I do that, whilst we're talking about I know Larry had mentioned about rewriting some laws and regulations, but let's talk about Liberia. So, go ahead, Telvina.
Oh no, I mean, I think I already asked the question. I mean, and should I ask the question again? I
Go
think
ahead.
what I said earlier is, well, how can we take some of those best practices from neighboring countries or even the West and bring it back home? What's preventing us from doing that?
Repeat that question again properly.
Okay, so how can we take some of those best practices that others are adapting from tourism and bring that home and make Liberia a tourism friendly place, whether from a government level or from a citizen level? And what's preventing us from doing that?
Tell me, which state are you?
Texas is the greatest state in the world.
Thank God. That's why Californians say that they are not part of America. They are a unique situation.
Wagyu.
The greatest state in the world.
But let me tell you this. Haven't you seen that the greatest country on earth, realized that they've done more damage to their race than good by arresting people for a single small piece of marijuana, detaining you, jailing you for years, and destroying your whole career? Don't you see what they're doing now? Don't you see that? Don't you see the battle between abortion and anti-abortion supporters?
Every day.
Don't you catch the issue about religion being a fundamental of schools and anti and against, a favor in for and against?
Every day.
Those are all the battle you will have to fight when it comes to tourism, because there's actually, the regulations are one thing, the best practices are another thing. You want 20 persons to go to your village in Liberia with $10,000 each, which is actually $200,000. They must stay there for 1 year and spend that money amongst your people. What best practice stops them from having carnal knowledge of the females who are there, who consent to collecting the $100 and $200? Can you regulate that? What best practice is there when these young, beautiful females get pregnant and they say they want to arrest the men, and the girls say, "Yo, better stop it, don't spoil my life," and the mother come and say, "Yo, better leave the man alone"? We told you we got problem with him.
Well, that boils down to education and awareness.
Good. I said from the beginning, education, 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 sensitize, sensitize. Do you remember that part I said?
Mhm.
Good. You must have regulation that is purely based on pillars. How do we educate our people? Do we do segmented education? When we're educating people in Cape Mount, do we set up the structure to educate them in what? VAR. If we're educating people in Nimba, do we use Mano and what? Gil. If we're educating people in, you got it? You must find a basis for letting them know that, yes, these things are good, it's going to help your economy, but you must keep your tradition and culture intact, and how to do it. Instead of letting these people bring their culture to you, when they come, traditionally educate them. So it's now happening. Kenya is doing a perfect job with it.
So Chris, let me ask you a specific.
Swaziland.
Yeah, but let me ask you, before you go to Swaziland, let me ask you a specific question. All right. Now that we understand some of the tourism, the vast amount of tourism that we can exploit in Liberia, what has Liberia as a country done so far in making tourism a sector that will, contribute to to its economic growth and and to its budget, to the Liberian budget? What
Okay,
has
so
what
let me
have we
first of all
done?
let you.
What have we
Let
done
me
so
first of
far?
all. Let's first of all ignore the budget.
Okay.
That's where we're making mistakes when it comes to tourism.
All right.
Let's focus on empowering the people.
Okay. So what has Liberia done so far?
Because if Liberia has 70,000 civil servants, it means that in 36 to 48 months, if structurally done, Liberia could have a total of 280,000 persons employed, apart from the 70 in the civil service.
So that's
So
part of economic growth.
if you put that together, that will hit 350,000 persons. And how would that affect the basic need or the basic situation? It will drop crime rate because the 350,000 people employed, it means that crime rate will drop because the people who were involved, some of them have become capacitated.
Yep. That's true.
2, they will defend their territories of survival because they would understand the importance of making sure that their families are catered to. And defending your territory of survival is not your house or your village. It's how many people you want to make sure go to school because you are empowered to send people to school. You are empowered to improve the lives of your mother and father who will become farmers to give them the seeds they need. Because only one thing do it: knowledge and cash. So let's put that aside before you go now to economic benefits in terms of revenue.
Okay.
As long as you have enough cash to circulate within the system, first of all, it means that every other person will benefit from you. Because if you go and change $5 over there, it means the guy changing money has already made $20 on the profit. Nothing. People will say, oh, that we need this amount of money. Oh, we need the private sector. Oh, first of all, we need the individuals. We need education, sensitization, and the people. Forget about the private sector. The private sector comes in when there's the bigger cash to spend, when there's greater expansivity. But even with the private sector coming in, you must have a population that is educated enough to know how to work with the private sector who is going into tourism. Let's take Patawi, for instance. We're talking about revenue now. Patawi is a government reserve. Nice waterfall. Now they're doing a lot of things that they're building chalets, they're building campsites. They're doing a lot. But have they done the party grounds? Have they done the overviews that can go on CNN? Because Patawi good setup and advertisement could blow to the sky and bring the people to Bon County and will affect Magibi and others. It does not mean that Patawi is developed. Like the street of Gambia, like you said, is there anything on the street of Gambia that shows that Gambia prepared for the influx of people? No, it's advertisement. They marketed the land and the people came unconsciously in crowd. They brought themselves, which become the tourism attraction. Then they brought the forex, which is what the government wants. Then they also aid the peasants. Those who sell street foods the visitors are consuming them. So even the low people are earning forex. That is now where the international big-time private sector comes in. The private sector comes in to organize the smaller people. That's what it does. The private sector comes in only when it sees opportunities. And that's when the smaller people do things that the bigger institutions see. Hello, Alex, do you go and dig gold in Cape Mount and somebody didn't tell you they've dug gold there and they made money out of it?
Yeah.
Come on.
True.
So when I hear all these trashy talks, is this, is that, the private sector repairs itself to benefit because they are capitalists. And when they go in after seeing what the people have been able to achieve, then they begin to exploit it. So the regulations are the only thing the people need. Protection, that's what the people need. Security protection. Self-evaluated protection, self-esteem protection, that when somebody who comes with $2 million into Liberia decides to put a slap on a Liberian because he thinks he has one, the law must apply. That's where tourism works, when it needs the government's regulation. But for tourism to make a difference, we don't need that money government has. No, we give the government money in so many ways. I can bet you the government doesn't even know how many tourists came to Liberia last year or this year from Chris alone. Who is doing statistical analysis? Who is gathering the facts? Who knows exactly what's happening? Where they're going when they come to this country? The answer is absolutely not. We don't have empirical records. We don't have data. So everything that is being done is being done by individuals who love their countries. There's what you call good Decembrists. Decembrists are already arriving. Are you aware?
Yeah, I know a few. I know a few friends who've gone already.
Don't forget there are three kinds of national tourism. There is what you call domestic tourism. Do you know that? There are people traveling from counties to counties, and they are spending local monies. But every time they move in that crowd to go to a party in Grand Gide, 20 persons move with $1,000 in the pocket. They come back with $20. They left $20,000 there. Don't you see that? That's domestic tourism. So nobody can tell me, say, if there's no private sector, there's no tourism. Holy Moses. I know what the product is. And I told you something about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is not the best. But when you see Coca-Cola advertised, when you go to a particular shop, even though you want something, you say, man, you get Coke there? I get Coke. I get Pepsi. Oh, that even Pepsi Fanta I wanted. But the first thing you call, Coke. And Coke is giving you 8 to 12 cubes of sugar. By the time you finish with 8, you go up the hill and walk 10 miles, you want another Coke. Because it's made in a way to entice you to keep taking. That's the strength of Coke. You must drink enough. But there are several other products. So, first of all, package yourself. One, we're coming to the main thing now. Package yourself. Brand yourself. Introduce yourself. Have a long-term sustainability after introducing yourself. Have a long-term sustainability on the demand of yourself when it starts, so you don't become too scarce or too available. And then post a price tag on yourself at every given time so you advance the culture of profit making and revenue generation. That is tourism. Because the only thing you use to appreciate tourism is called the eyes and the tongue before anything else.
Okay, thank you. I needed to get at this point. We would have taken a break because we got less than 30 minutes to go, Chris. But let's focus on the specifics when it comes to Liberia. So,
You okay?
now we're talking about all these different types of tourism. We're talking about Liberia. We're talking about other countries, what they've done. Like I say, I visited Gambia, I visited Senegal. I lived in Ghana. I saw, how their tourism developed. I'm seeing my several visits I made to Gambia. I'm seeing how they're developing tourist centers, tourist cities, right? Way like Gambia, where they develop, they have not developed per se, but where they have in Gambia as a tourist city specifically. They're doing the same thing in Senegal. I mean, they're doing more than that in Senegal. Ghana is another country who's, for lack of a better word, still in the show, right?
Ellis, please, 1 second before you continue.
go ahead.
I beg you. Do you know Ghana in 2019, December, held the year of the return?
Yes, that's what I was trying to refer to.
Only 2 countries own that right. Liberia and Sierra Leone. Only 2 countries.
That's why I say, you see, when I mentioned Ghana, Ghana stole the show.
The second thing, Ghana was supposed to host beyond the year of the return, which was 2020. Unfortunately, Corona says, stop, you're going too far. 2021, this team came off. It's starting again.
Boom.
Now, my people.
Well, we're doing bicentennial.
Now, don't let me talk. This is the first time in Liberian government's budget 1 million was set. I attend every single budget casting hearing. And guess what? I question Twe and say, how come you have a whole budget for a country and you don't have a cent for tourism? And Eugene stands for Minister of Information Culture, where we don't have that one. We need to concentrate on rules and rights. I say, Eugene, you are blindfolded. And
I have awakened the man.
I have told them several times how empty their skulls are. But when the moment it came to bicentennial that I say were being celebrated for a whole year, $1 million was used. But do you know that they ordered a company to come from Ghana to do the visual at the stadium? Do you know that it was Cool TV and Cool Radio that the local channels were taking feeds from? Because they don't think we are capable in Liberia to do it. But that's not all. They believe that when they bring that kind of money and give it to those people and they get their kickback, those people will not be called to the Senate and the House of Representatives. They will not be audited because the money is gone. The problem with us is the PHDS. People call it crab mentality. I call it PHDS, pull him down syndrome, in a very unique way. But I'll tell you people something tonight. You can only hold a nation down for a period. You can never hold a nation's progress down forever, because generations will come and spoil a uniqueness. And trust me, those who stand in the way will be so crushed. It may not be our time, but I'm happy that you are holding this discussion tonight, because it means that something is started already. Whether we like it or not, the iron ore, the rubber, the gold and diamond will never employ the number of people that tourism will pay in Liberia, because we have everything far more. Listen, the fact that we have more waters, it means we have more better facilities than Ghana, than Cote d'Ivoire, than Gambia, than Guinea, than several countries you see. All we need are the regulations and the education and sensitization, and Liberians will move. Do you know I tasted cricket and cassava in Maryland? You know how it tastes? Do you know how many Liberians don't know that the foreigners are enjoying it there? And I drank it with pure water from the coconut. It was solid cold. Do you know how important it is to go to Grand Jide and Ribaji and eat my beta roots? Do you know how it felt in Nimba when you take the goat stomach up and you take that fresh cassava that has just been chewed and put in your GB soup? Do you know what kettle is with better boy in lofa? Done with tinted meat that has funny taste that men won't eat, but the women will cook it and sit away and eat that soda. Don't let me talk tourism.
So Chris, before you talk, we'll not allow you to talk tourism, but we allow you to talk tourism. So you're getting spirited. I know that, right? I know, I know how you can get spirited when it comes to tourism. But let's go back to the specific. You mentioned something right now, and that is why I brought Larry Kennedy's question. And then there's Nestor Sende, who also has a follow-up question to this kind of question. So I will bring that on. So when I'm saying all these beautiful things that are happening in other countries, let's come to Liberia. Because this is focused on Liberia, where we promote, we elevate, we educate all things Liberia. And this is the focus on Liberia marketplace, where we discuss business, finance, and economic when it comes to Liberia. So be specific. There are three parts of the questions, right? What has Liberia done so far when it comes to tourism? What is there to be done? What is yet to be done? Or it's a going process? Or what are some of the things that are there? And what is the way forward? Okay. So let's start with what is done so far. What has been done so far?
Well, what has been done so far
by Liberia as a country
is that we've been able to maintain all our tourist environments. We may not have improved on them, but we are not destroying them like that. The only areas of destruction is in the illegal mining, in terms of alluvial mining in Grand Jide, in River G, in Alofa Bridge, in Cape Town, and a whole lot of stuff, because those are lands that are being destroyed. I would like to concentrate more on what needs to be done because there's no need to criticize what is being destroyed or what's not being done because we need to move forward as a people and make a difference.
Right.
Um, Snow and Akara Gray, when they were both in the House, began the fight to have this law passed to separate um, the Department of Tourism from the Ministry of Information to make an autonomous agency, even though the consultation was not fully encompassing as it should be. It was something that they started, and I think it was on a good note. The second thing that's being done is that at least, even though President Weah mentioned in his inaugural speech that tourism will take a foothold in his government and nothing is being done, it's being mentioned. So it means that the relevance is there. Other things that we need to look at are the pillars. Tourism operates with pillars. Every country develops tourism on the medium and long term with pillars. Several packages have been done by various foreigners. I remember a white lady sent me a package on Liberia that she should look at it. And then I'm like, if this lady comes from that far, well, she's a hustler. But we need Liberians to handle this thing Liberian way because it's an adaptive situation. The pillars are unique. That is why Liberia has not been able to harness any tourism funds because there are millions of dollars that for Liberia every year, but none comes in all go by because the pillars have not yet been put in place. I'll give you an example. Kletu CA was Minister of Information between 2010 2012. And Liberia at that time was not even a member of the World Tourism Organization. So Kletus will leave his office on Capitol Hill and come to my office on Ashland Street as minister because he needed to get things going because I was pushing him. So we're able to register Liberia as a full member again of the World Tourism Organization. And guess what? In just 3 months of registration, the World Tourism Organization was able to have about 6, 7 invitations for Liberia, but they're not only able, they provided the tickets, the hoteling, the feeding, the padam for all the invitees from Liberia at the various times they were inviting Liberia. So it means that world tourism commitment in terms of training, facilitation, motivation had begun. That's because they know what Liberia has. The World Tourism Body. And the moment the next minister who said like Ministry of Information was a sleeping giant took over, the ministry died. And every progress that was made was dead. The president of Liberia, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, through the Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, who had a focal person who was the Deputy Minister for Administration, Norris Twe, contacted my office, my company, to define and develop with synchronism a symbol that will have a theme that will unite the function going into tourism. And we define what you call the Lift Liberia. Alex, you remember that thing that Lift Liberia, Lift Liberia, Lift Liberia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I defined it under the early administration for a purpose. And then it came out with several hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was meant to say, no matter your tribe, your culture, your location, your color, whatever it is, collectively, let's do it. But guess what? Just after the whole package was done and was approved, that was the end. And I want to tell you guys why it happened so. Most time, when the government of Liberia is seeking international attention to collect one big money from somewhere, and the country, the donors tell them, you have to put these things in place, they quickly put it in place. When the money comes, forget it. It's done.
Is that right?
But like I said to you, we've sown the seed. This seed has been sowed, even with your program. That's what's going to get us to the promised land. It may not be during our time.
So, Chris, you mentioned about the, splitting the two, splitting Mecca into two, tourism one end and whatever.
Not splitting, just taking tourism out.
Okay, so taking it out, what's the added benefit there? I just want to understand. I'm sure others want to know. Because it's just keeping it as a unit and still getting the work done.
Yeah, I will follow up with what Tevi is saying. Look, Chris, in Liberia, we always like to say, well, we got to fix the law. I watched a Senate hearing where we're talking about, I think they were talking about rape, right? And Darius Dillon was asking the question, Madam Minister, the current law as it is, what have we done
What's wrong
with
with
that
it?
law?
Yeah.
What have we implemented? Who have we put in jail? What has been done? But now you're here talking about changing the law. So we like to put, I don't know, somebody should correct me. I don't know where we'd like to put the cat before
the horse.
or whatever it is. So it's the same direction. What have we done? We're fighting about, yes, we need laws to be rewritten. Yes, laws are moving things. They change with technology, they change with time, they change with seasons and stuff like that. But the one we already have MICAT. We have a deputy minister or assistant minister for tourism. The ministry is called, that's why it's called MICAT. It's called Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism. As in its current form, as a follow-up to Selvy's question, and my personal thought, as it is now, as the law, I don't know whether we have tourism law, you can tell me, but if we have laws, as the laws are now, and as the regulations are now, and the institution is now within the Ministry of Information, what have we done? And now we're here talking about regulations and change and moving MICAT from there. When we move the MICAT from there, that one would make the tourism happy.
But I was asking for the other
When we move the tourism section, let's wait until it starts gaining fruit. I'm not saying we shouldn't move it from there. I'm not saying we shouldn't form a tourism commission or something like that. But we already have an institution. What have we done as a country, as a government, with the one we have yet? And in my belief, when we start making money, or when we start making some strides, and money start coming, that's when now it's for us to move it and make it on its own. So, what have we done, Mr.
But Alex, even to add to that, not only even if we're making money, but what is the need to even move it? Can we not accomplish the same thing what we're accomplishing there, and then maybe expand capacity or whatever? What is the need to move it? What is the
move it?
What's
then
the
we hire. Then we put no additional stress on the budget. Hire more people. It has to have its own building. It has its own director or commissioner or whatever, and all the overhead start coming. But meanwhile, the tourism not making money, and they will end up doing nothing. But we have a tourism commission.
Maybe Chris can help us understand. So Chris, we're not there.
Please help us.
Look, first and foremost, I'm not worried about where the tourism department is. But you see, if you say you know the importance of tourism and it could lead the economy's growth, then it needs to have a separate identity. Every situation on earth is a jealous situation. The ocean is jealous. That's why when you put anything in the ocean, it vomits it out if it was not there from the beginning. So let's look at it this way. We need an autonomous agency to run tourism. That's very important.
Why?
To now be able to agitate for the right technicians who understand the sector.
Chris, I'll ask you the question again.
I'm coming.
You have to answer this question. What have we done so far with what we have now?
But you have asked several questions without waiting for a completion. So if you let me bridge you out on what you've done so far.
Now, I won't get plenty of time. You gotta be direct.
If you're a dictator, tell me.
No, we just manage our time.
We just manage the time. You gotta go.
Okay, so let's go this way. First and foremost, we have done too much, too little. Before the era of the Doe administration, our sector of tourism was moving well. It fitted that time because, first of all, we're under a normal situation. Liberia had almost all the headquarters of all the international organizations were from the West African Rice Development Association to the UNDP headquarters. Name any developmental
question. You see, now you're coming. Go ahead.
Every developmental agencies in the world headquarters was in Liberia. So naturally,
Liberia harnessed visitors on a daily basis. And don't forget, the RIA was a hub in West Africa where every other international airline landed and local domestic airlines distributed from. So imagine now, we had all the headquarters. Then our airport was a hub. These two have lost an identity, their nomenclature. Third thing, we sold more products in academic than normal. UL was a house drum for most of the intellectuals who are now teaching in Ghana, in Legon, teaching in University of Ibadan, teaching in University of Ife, teaching in Egypt, teaching everywhere. These women were graduating from UL in numbers. That's the third. The fourth is that most of the activities of the African continent had to start from Liberia. Formation of the African Union, formation of ECOWAS, formation of the Africa Development Bank, discussion on peace talk in Cote d'Ivoire, discussion on peace talk in Tanzania, discussion on peace talk in Angola, South Africa, the Apartheid movement, the issues surrounding the movement of crisis in Ethiopia, the Sadat activities in Egypt. Name them, list them. Right here. It was working then because then you needed a strong Ministry of Information that could do a lot of stuff. Today, the only function of the Ministry of Information and it's carried out by the minister is to lie like brain people and to hold the Thursday press conference. And guess what? It has pushed tourism to the very bottom where an assistant minister who has no voice. To bring the ministry back, the agency back somewhere, you need to have it almost on the pedestal with ministers. So that's why you see NASCOP is working even better. That's why MP is making money, even though it's but something is happening. So let's talk about the administrative side. That's where you're at. Now let's talk about education side. You cannot
before you go forward, let me say this, right? You said the ministry is not functioning. Only a minister, if I get you correct, only a minister is functioning, and the only function is to lie to the people, and something else is there, right?
And hold the Thursday press conference.
Then you brought in NASCOP, and you brought in what? Freeport, right?
I brought in the Freeport. I'm bringing in NASCOP. I'm bringing in other autonomy agencies like LITI. I'm bringing in the Human Rights Commission. Those are all one or the other time under certain agencies, and we're just there in the cupboard.
So as we stand now, with is the problem really with moving the department out of the ministry, or the total functionality of the government? Because the last time I checked, the Freeport was marred with corruption to the extent that
we are going too far. The truth of the matter is that it's an embodiment of all.
To the extent that
it is an embodiment of all.
Is unsanctioned.
It is an embodiment of all.
Is it an embodiment of all, or the moving of a particular department out of it? Is the government functioning? Is the government doing what it's supposed to be doing? Even though it is a department under the ministry, is it doing what it's supposed to be doing? Because in my view, if the embodiment is functioning well, the department could function until such time that is ripe for it to be removed.
No, even if the government was functioning perfectly in this time and age, tourism will still not get the light it needs. Tourism.
Okay, so if I may agree with you, then if I may agree with you, then what is stopping that from happening?
Like I said to you, if you and I understand what tourism is the engine room and the bedrock of Liberia's development.
Okay, agree.
So it must be given the attention it deserves.
Okay, agree.
It cannot be in a room with 20 products being sold from one company.
So, Chris, what has been the hindrance for moving the department on its own?
So you see, when we talk about the embodiment of the crisis, when I say square pegs and round holes, it's because no one sees the energy, the synergy, the benefit. And even if they do see, They don't even have the simple knowledge on how to move from point A to point B.
Now, so you see what I was talking.
So you need the technicians. I said to you, you need the technicians.
All right.
And the technicians, the international partners will not get embedded in the politics of the ministries. So make an autonomous agency and let the international partners know that they're dealing with an autonomous agency. That's what makes LFA works better. That's what makes the football federations in every country work better, because the international bodies stick to the rules that you cannot interfere. If you interfere, there is a suspension, there's a ban for a period of time. That's how tourism works.
So I agree.
Nobody
Okay.
wants to send 30 to 40 million dollars Liberia every time. And when you look, the money is twisted, like when the EU money was twisted at central bank. No, accountability is the key to it.
Okay, I agree. Well, in the meantime, we have a rolling message out there. The phone number is there. You can call in. There is a WhatsApp number and a regular phone number that you can call to contribute to the show. We will be bringing some comments in for Chris to address them. But meanwhile, at this point, we are on the question: what has been done with tourism in Liberia? What is there to be done? And what's the way forward? And what we're discussing right now is the issue about moving the tourism sector out of the Ministry of Information and putting it on its own. And for this, even though we have arguments back and forth, but for the sake of the conversation and to agree with the tourism expert here, let's agree that yes, we move the tourism department out of there. But the question here is, why has it not happened, Mr. Onanenga?
It's not happening because it's a conduit to siphon without accountability. It's not happening because there's no interest, because it's in the room with 30 other products, and it's not, the value of it is not seen. Every child is born with a special gift. It's left for the parents to know how to groom each of these children to identify their special gifts. Whilst in a room, don't forget the brightest child is always oppressed, because they know very well that when the child gets up, there will be problems. It happened with the case of Joseph and his brothers.
So
And
will
it happened with
you agree with Craig? I mean, will you agree with Emmanuel Jackson, who says that the Liberian government is a serious hurdle advancing tourism in Liberia? The market isn't open to Liberians but foreigners. Ease the restriction on regulations and open the sector, tourism free from bureaucratic red tapes.
Well, these are strong words, but I'll tell you this. If there's nothing the government has done, it's giving the Liberians in the diaspora a breather on dual citizenship, which is now going to aid domestic tourism. But as it relates to all the others, I want to let you people know, while we are alive, we are responsible for two things for ourselves: our fortune and our misfortune. And when we die, we are remembered for two things: the problems we solve and the problems we create. Instead of running around in circles on excuses, let's discuss the issues and solve them practically. Because remember, you may argue with words. Oh, I will do this, I will do this. But when I do them, it's results. People don't argue with results, they argue with words. So in earnest, we've seen what has happened long time. When you go to the doctor and you say you have malaria and they give you chloroquine, it doesn't work, they will tell you, okay, come, let's drain you, I will give you another drug. It's the same thing. It does not work by keeping the ministry and tourism department together. Let's try another thing. The first thing, let's make it autonomous. Let's attract the international donors who are interested in the international agencies who will give to tourism. Key. Let's now put in the right mechanism to manage the fundings that will come in. But also, before the funding come in, let's create an agency that will be able to develop a clear educational agenda, curriculum, pillar, that will begin the first core function that will not allow us to have the greater downside when tourism booms. Educate, sensitize, sensitize. And that way, Liberians appreciate tourism, begin to do the right thing in their homes. Where you go to south of France. In south of France, you hardly see hotels of that kind. It's bread and breakfast. Every home is ready to receive someone during the holiday, because in that home, they want that money.
Fra says that Princess them getting paid for doing nothing at tourism. I don't know who's Princess. Do you know?
Well, the assistant minister of tourism, I once sat down with them. She came and asked for help. I once gave them, I think, 2-3 days of tutorial at Royal Hotel, all paid for by myself, my institution. But it doesn't require that kind of short, holistic. It's a long-term stuff. Like I said to you, it's training, educating. Since that instance, it's unendless. And there must be consistent curriculum that will be re-advanced, re-appreciated, redesigned. It's not, you cannot stop. It's like mathematics. You're the best student in mathematics in your class. If you stop doing mathematics exercises for a period of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, when you go, you fail.
And Riverside Pro says to attract international tourists, you need more than just rural roads and 3-bedroom apartments, hotel, and accommodations. What say you? Do we need all the infrastructure and everything else?
Look, let me tell you, there's only one airline working from Monrovia to Grand Julia to River G and to other places. It's called Christian something, MAF. And they only cater to government agencies and Christian organizations and NGOs. One airline from Springfield. One.
Alex, look, is the lines open? People are saying they're in the backstage and they're not getting through.
Oh,
Can I go on?
Go ahead.
So if our airstrips were working and we have attracted local domestic flights, like when the UN was here, they had helicopters, 6, 7, 8 parked at the Springfield. Several times I moved around the country on helicopters. We staged the Star is Born competition every year, which was 3 months in serious talent hunt around the country. We use UN helicopters. We're landing River G today. We're landing Cape Mount tomorrow. We're landing the Grand Julia today. We're moving around the country, making things happen. So rural roads. What are rural roads? People don't know. There are 3 or 4 kinds of roads. There's a trunk A. Trunk A is normally roads that are set up by the state, the national government. There's trunk B. Trunk B are built by states and maintained by states. So trunk A and trunk B are highways or semi-highways through major cities. Are those ones the ones they're talking about here? Or they defining rural roads as rural roads? Because if it's rural road as rural road, when you go to Arizona, you see rural roads. And the cars that drive on them with happiness. If it's rural roads, then you should go to Texas, some part of your areas. You know how it look. People think Texas developed all over. Texas is not developed all over. They should go to the Mexico border and see the fun and run around the borderlines and see how it looks. What is important for us is to, first of all, identify the beauty that this country holds. Sell that beauty. Sell it so well. Interpret it so well. Package it so well. Brand it so well. And when you've done all those, the rest will work for you. It's as simple as A, B, C. Let's start focusing on the $1 million projects when we have the hundreds that we can begin to work with. That's what tourism is.
Baby steps.
Good. I like that. But in the meantime, we got to bring a caller on who's been on the line. Yes, caller, can you come in?
Go ahead, caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, hello. This is John Mawolo. To Chris, I think what he's saying, I agree with what he's saying 100%. I think there should be special concentration put on tourism. There's a lot of things going on in the country that the government, I don't know if somebody in the government is aware or not, or somebody is seeking it personally. Listen, I was surprised that one of my friends came from Liberia after the war, told me that this guy has a game hunting in the Sapo forest. That people come from all over the world, go there and hack in those bushes, they got lodging places and all, and they go and game hunt these lions and things in the bushes there. I don't know if the governor of Liberia knows that place exists or not. I've never heard of it. On all the years I've lived in Liberia, I never knew they have something like that. But this guy got me, people come, they fly into Agro, drive into Liberia, go to that game hunting and drop up $10,000 to the guy, and was the American guy running the place. Now, when you're talking about like the tourism, our biggest hindrance have been visionless men. People have been seen. People don't understand. I mean, if we want to be real with ourselves, Liberians living in this country, most of them don't even go for vacation. They don't know no vacation spot. Most of them don't even go to a restaurant to say, I know what different things look like. They live as if they are home. So, of course, they don't see that bigger picture. And for those who have been, when they talk about it, it sounds accurate. So I think, yes, they got to be special. They got to be the vision first, or the vision head, and then special emphasis put on tourism. Because, yes, there is a lot of money there to be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. But somebody is talking about Riverside Pro is talking about Cape Mount. We heard Cape Mount.
We got more callers. If you want to do
go ahead.
comments
Go
now?
ahead with the callers.
Next caller, your name and where you calling from?
This is Autonomy man calling from New York.
Little volume, please.
This is Abednego man calling from New York.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so from my own background of study, as it relates to economic planning and development, which I did study tourism planning, I think like every time we say, oh, the government is not doing anything. Are we trying to look outside the government? They got tourism institution almost like non-for-profit organization or international community deal with, because like usually we fund project for an NGO in a country once they know say the NGO interest or goals is towards their own bigger project. So with my brother in studio, is he thinking in that direction? Because each time we Liberia, when we say something, we always say the government. And sometimes we cannot depend on the government to do all. That's why NGO are created to help government do some government function. Most of the NGO function you see, they are all government function. But because the government cannot function 100% in all its function, that's where NGO are formed. And that's where private sector comes in. So is he looking into forming an NGO that will help upgrade the tourism sector of Liberia, where he can get funding for international organizations and other tourism organizations within around the world.
Yeah, Abednego, good question before the other calls come in and the expert here, our guest here come in. But I would tell you, Abednego, yes, it's true in my view, but having worked in Liberia and around other countries, government provides the enabling environment for every other thing to happen. The NGO you're talking about, they are auxiliary to the government. They will help the government where the government directs. So they can work in isolation. All right. For example, Mr. Chris is talking about the formulation of the tourism commission or tourism whatever, which will inspire this work to go on. And through that, this commission will now invigorate everything that the NGO and other people do, even the private people, even the private citizen who want to go back to Liberia to work. The same thing, I saw that same thing, having lived and worked in Ghana for 9 years, I saw that same thing happen in Ghana. Visited Senegal, visited Gambia, I saw that same thing happen in those countries. The tourism board takes charge for other people to thrive. And it's the government that make the tourism board happen. Next, is there another caller before Chris comes in?
Call out your name and where you calling from.
Hey, good evening, afternoon, Chris. Hey, Dennis, it's Larry Kennedy from 9 to See Television, and Alex holding down the fort. Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I'll just make three points. 3 points. Chris is absolutely correct. So the first thing you need what we on this side in the data world refer to as a data warehouse. Chris was right in the sense that you cannot we don't have the data bank to be able to make decisions based on how many people are coming to Liberia. That is so important. I did a study with a couple of other Liberians on the tourism sector in Liberia. We wrote a 130-page report, and that was one of the main inhibitors. One of the things stopping us from actually drawing conclusion of what's going on in the tourism sector. I'm glad Chris mentioned the World Investment Tourism Council. That is so important. I couldn't believe that Liberia wasn't a member of that council. Listen, 1 in every 9 jobs out there is within the tourism sector. Tourism is that important. The reason why you have tourism not working so well in Liberia is for several factors. Number one, you don't need a Ministry of Information, Tourism, and all that nonsense. Every ministry should simply have a spokesperson. You don't. I'm not sure why we still have Ministry of Information. It's so outdated. That whole model is outdated. Every ministry simply needs a spokesperson. Move the ministry, and the tourism simply needs a board to deal with it. If you take a look at what Costa Rica is doing, they're doing extremely well when you look at the tourism board. Take a look at other countries in Africa. They're doing extremely well simply using a tourism board. We have all of the elements to create jobs in Liberia within the tourism sector. The reason why it doesn't work is because we don't have people, we don't have the data to draw the conclusion, and we don't have the people with experience in tourism to run these things. We still run it our whole patronage system where, you know, if you're my friend, you're my brother, you're my this, you're my that, I will give you the job. It doesn't work that way in other places. It's based on meritocracy. That's one thing that is killing us. And I'm so glad that Chris is here. He has a ton of experience. And Chris will be a good reference for anybody interested in doing tourism in Liberia. So dissolve that whole Ministry of Tourism and Information is outdated. And I like what Chris has said. So thanks, Shelby. Thanks, Alex. And thanks for your insights, Chris. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for your
I
call.
appreciate you too.
Okay. Go ahead, call out your name and where you calling from.
Hi, my name is Thomas Kane. I'm calling from North Carolina.
Little volume, please. Volume.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the general problem we face in Liberia is there is this concept that countries that stay behind and others move ahead, you are able to catch up fast because you simply learn from what other people have done for you to be able to cover your journey in a very limited period of time. But we don't do that in Liberia. I mean, when it comes to tourism, you see all the other countries that have gone forward. You see what they've done. Why can't we simply model it? The previous caller was making a point to capacity. If we simply don't have capacity in the tourism sector, you have programs all over. Send 5-6 persons out to go and do their master's or maybe PhD in tourism, and they will come back to be able to help. But this issue with tourism was under the Madam Salit administration. It is under this administration, and it's going to take the next 20 years. We can't do a simple thing. So it's just with every other thing. Decentralization, we can't move forward. Tax reforms, we can't move forward. We are just stuck in this state of underdevelopment. And it becomes so frustrating. And so I just want to thank Chris for all of the information that he's putting out. We have the Lightness Forest, we can promote ecotourism and all of that, but we have to start with the basics. I think we've seen other agencies, the revenue agency doing very well. It's autonomous. We've seen these autonomous agencies. Electricity is being regulated now by an agency. So if we need an agency to be able to jumpstart this tourism, let's do it. And don't take the next 10 years to discuss the same issue and we don't move forward. We just take too long to do anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, callers. You got one more? We can take one more.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Chris, what have you to say as we listen to the callers?
The first caller says something that people are game hunting in Liberia and the rest. So
That's
true.
John Mowley.
And what people don't know is that they see elephants run in the towns, and the elephant is so peaceful, and they start running behind the elephant and touching it. Listen, for elephants to run in the town regularly, it means something in their habitat is not right. And so the government investigate that, It's a different ballgame. When elephants are seen running to the cities, it means that their tusks are being taken from them in the bush and they are dying. I just need you to establish that fact because of what they said. But I don't know how I'm going to look at a lot of things I see people talking about and the reality of what should be and will be. The truth of the matter is, this discussion you are holding tonight is discussion that should be held every day by everyone right now until somebody listens properly and make the right decisions. Government does not need to put 1 cent into the autonomous agency that will govern tourism. Once this autonomous agency is established by law and the pillars and structures are put in place, the funds will come running from health and centers to make sure that the structures in the various counties are held. Let's focus on something else that is debilitating tourism. There is too much power in Liberia at the central of government. If superintendents were being elected with mayors, one county will compete against the other to be able to turn the county into a greater revenue generating point without the authority or supervision of the central government. And if that is done, there will be a greater gingering of the system, which will then attract huge investment. So you can see that apart from us shouting about the issues regarding tourism in relations to what the sector should be, who should run autonomous agencies, the activities and structure of governance needs to also change. If the central activity of governance does not change, there will be problems. Because if the county superintendents were being elected, it means they can go and sort funds for themselves anywhere in the world. And their only collateral will be the people. Now, I also see people basic talking about. Oh, I must also thank the caller. What's his name from New York?
Abenico or Larry
Yeah,
or
Abenigo. The key issues he raised, like what I said, is fundamental. Empirically, you need data, and the data are coming in every day, but nobody is
That's Lauren.
honestly focused
that's
on
Larry.
Mm.
Larry. Sorry. So, in all situation of the, like I keep mentioning to you, this discussion is something that should be held everywhere by everyone. That's why I believe people who are watching now should, instead of just watching, should be sharing your
Yeah, sure.
your show right now, because I'm sure a lot of people are benefiting, are having a better perspective of life. Then I see people talking about how expensive hotels are in Liberia. Well, there are hotels of various kinds. These days we got 7 stars, 6 stars hotels. There are hotels everywhere. Because I'm a tourism person, I live in hotel almost all my life. I do 50 to 60 flights every year around the world. And I see what it is. We have hotels for any category of person who wants hotel. Because like I said to you, there's bread and breakfast. There are homes. Ask yourself what you want. The only hindrance that will make you not to walk and agree to stay in someone's home, you want to see proximation to a police station, you want to see proximation to a hospital, a fire service, and the rest. Those are where government comes in with structures. But trust me, the core function of tourism is the people. So you see, when the government trains, sensitize, and educate people on how to speak visitors, how to smile at visitors, how to treat visitors when they go wrong, how to correct them, translators availability, people will start learning, people will now appreciate Alliance Francais, they'll start to appreciate various language institutes because they know that if they learn the second language, they are going to be able to earn something. So people think that when you go to the classroom academically, that's the only time you're empowered. No, I'll give you something. The Germans who invented polytechnics did not invent polytechnic because they were inventing polytechnic to get to academic. The polytechnics were developed to aid those to advance their practical experiences when they were artisans.
in automobile industry, machine industries. So polytechnics only advance those talents to become more moderate, more cooperative, more compact. But because polytechnics did all those things succeeded, they were still considered inferior to those who went to university, OND, HND. So what did the university do? What did the polytechnics do in these advanced countries? They just upgraded to HND and provide opportunity to see that HND is equal to BSc. And that was that, just to take away the inferiority issue. So if you are a language expert, you don't have to go to university. Most of the experts and people around the world who end up becoming billionaires ended up making their billions for going into a classroom in the house and go online and get a BSc. Those who say that you must have the best of roads, that's not true. You are not like me in the field who understand the day-to-day things around the world, who know exactly what tourism operates with. One of the greatest gifts that God gave us are our eyes. And whether you like it or not, our parents have always toured the bush, the farms, by using sticks to cut the path. Those are the key things that tourism loves. Find your path, find your campgrounds. Liberians, we need to say to ourselves, we are who we are. We can make it. We have the best of environment. Our mud houses that we build, sun or rain, is cool. The concretes are hard. Those are what tourists want. They want something different. They used to think we're living in the trees, and lions were always under the trees waiting for us to draft because they had a single story. Now, tourism provides opportunity for people to have more than one story. It is that more than one story that's been told that's made up better people, that's been able to allow people to appreciate our continent and realize that even though we got skyscrapers, we have the best of yachts packed at our houses, but we still love the things we do daily by standing by the road and getting butter pear and busting a coconut. Look at the Dominican Republic, look at Costa Rica, but look at the Dominican Republic, have nothing. The survivor is tourism, tourism from where? Most America. My people, we haven't even talked about entertainment tourism. We haven't talked about so much, like I told you, about 800 plus. And Liberia is gifted with most. It's high time we just keep talking and talking and talking till it take hold. Tell me, I hope I have not consumed by disturbing and boring you today, but I mean, this is what it is.
No, it's a good discussion, and we appreciate your time. It's very good discussion. I think it should be ongoing.
Yeah, it's a good discussion actually, and the time we had, even had to extend the time by another. We had to extend the time by another 30 minutes, but we're concluding now. No, we're concluding. We had to. HAD.
Yeah, because I realized that it's 10 o'clock now. I didn't even know.
No, we don't have to, but we had to. So we're concluding now.
I wish I had known. Would have ended by 9:30.
So in conclusion, I hear you say when it comes to Liberia, and we'd like to thank all the people who have commented, the callers. We're sorry we couldn't reach to all the comments, but this is something that we will continue to talk. Chris, we'll talk this over of the air, but what I hear you saying to conclude specifically to Liberia, one, we have to remove the tourism department from the Ministry of Information to make it on its own. Two, we have to get involved with marketing. I didn't hear that clear. I probably took a little break here, but I didn't hear about laws and regulations.
All were mentioned. We spoke about the laws. We talk about restructuring. We talk about the laws, the regulation. We talk about the pillars. We then talk about most important thing that we talked about here. It's not just marketing. No.
Okay.
It's education sensitization, because you have to prepare the people first. When people are not prepared about something, even though they feel it's nice, they revolt.
Okay. And the pillars, just name the pillars.
Let me give you an example of something. A guy, 10 men come to the country, and they have one female expert that is a good tour guide. She's touring these people to the county. She's very responsible. She doesn't have time for them. Her husband is at home, basically insulting her. You following this man, you messing up. Whereby she's bringing the money right back to the house. Education.
I'm laughing at Larry's
Kelby, we gotta close now. So do you have a question? Do you have a comment that to Chris or to the public?
I have many questions, but of course we're time constraints, so
Yeah.
we'll do a second part. But I just want to appreciate his time. I think it was a good discussion. My brain is going several ways. When you talk about the data, and Larry mentioned that too. But we don't have the data bank, and all of that. I'm sitting. I was just like, how easy is that? Because they can just do an application and shoot that application to the airport or all those port of entrance and collect that data as people come in, and then build their own database and use that information. I mean, just little things like this. We're not maximizing, but that's a different discussion for another day. But thank you so much.
Yeah, different discussion for another day. Next week Saturday we'll be having a guest here from the LipFest, Liberia Tourism Festival, as part of the annual bicentennial. They will just be here on a promotional spree to promote the program. We will not be really delving into tourism, but we will be here. They will just be discussing for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. They will be promoting the program, and after that we will just do an analysis. So with this rich information that we've gotten from Chris, that will even enable us to do the analysis next week Saturday. So next week Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, and 8 p.m. GMT Liberia time, we will be bringing guests here to talk about the LibFest, which is part of the annual bicentennial.
We lost Chris.
Chris, we wanted you to give your parting comment. Yeah, but since Chris is gone, we gotta close. But I heard Chris saying, remove the Department of Tourism from the Ministry of Information, reorganize it. That will help. He gave a whole lot of reasons.
I see the added value.
Yeah, for the sake of the conversation, I agree with him. He talked about marketing, that including education, sensitization. He talks about the regulations and the laws and the regulations, and you talk about the pillars as well. So we probably might have some time to bring him back here, but we'd like to appreciate him for honoring our invitation, and we hope he joins us again. So we are about to wind up. Telvi, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for agreeing to come back home.
Come back home to FOL. Yeah. You're gonna do the prodigal daughter story celebration, right?
Yeah, we'll do a virtual celebration, and say you left virtual things. But we who in Texas will take the celebration to you physically. But Nesta Cindy was asking, are you a Cabo fan?
No, certainly I'm not.
Dallas Cabo.
No.
What?
No. Actually, they were playing 2 days on Thanksgiving. They were playing, I think, the Eagles or something. And, my teacher will call to me. I was just like, no. But I love the stadium, though. I tour it all the time. You should. I hope you have gone there already.
I've gone there, yeah.
Yeah, they got this tour, and I've gone there several times. But I just for the fun of it. But no, I'm not.
No problem. Okay. Well, on that note, Dennis, can you take us home, please?
I'm Baltimore Radio.
Yeah, we thank our listeners, our commenters, those who are listening now and those who are listening later on to the show. So we bid you farewell today. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. Ciao. Stay strong. Stay blessed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Telvi. Bye.